Hey guys, this is the first video that I made for this week. It is factoring week 2 for pre-AP. Now, the reason I'm making 2 videos is because last week it occurred to me, a lot of you guys told me during our Zoom conference that for the last IXL activity that I assigned, you were not able to get past a SMART score of 70 before it started giving you problems that just weren't working anymore, okay? Then, through our conversation, we realized that they were problems that had you factor out the GCF first before you did the Xbox method. So, in other words, there was something that I didn't realize IXL was gonna test you on last week, so I didn't prepare you, okay? So this is me fixing that. I need to teach you how to factor out a GCF before you Xbox. So, in order for me to do that with you, let's review a little bit, okay? So last week you learned how to factor out a GCF. How do you factor out a GCF? Well, you identify it first and then you put the remainder in the parentheses, okay? So step 1, identify it first. 12 and 16, is there a number we can divide both of these by? Yeah, 2, but is there a number greater than that because we want the greatest common factor? Yes, 4. We can divide 12 and 16 by 4. Write that down. Anything greater than that? Just double check. No. And then what is the greatest common factor of the x terms? Just choose the one with the lowest power automatically. So x to the first. Then we write our parentheses out to collect the remainder. There's a plus sign in the middle, so I'm going to do that. Okay? I need a term here and a term there. Now, what is 12x squared divided by my GCF? Divided by 4x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And I'll have an x left over because we subtract our powers. Okay, 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then when we divide x divided by x, there's nothing left. It's just 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, we don't write that. We're done. We're done. And how do you know you're done? You multiply, you distribute, and check. 4x times 3x should give you the first term, 12x squared, and it does. 4x times 4 should give you 16x, and it does. So you're finished. Okay, that was a quick review of how to factor out the GCF. Mr. Hensley's video is an extended version of that from last week in case if this is not enough for you and you're lost. Go back and watch Mr. Hensley's video from last week. Next, factoring the trinomial with the Xbox video. Section. This was my video from last week, okay? So I'm gonna run through one, but if you need any more assistance than that, just go ahead and watch last week's video. So let's pick one to work. We'll pick number 4. Start with the box. First term in the first box, last term in the last box. How do we get this -5? There's a whole bunch of different ways, so let's go to the x. For the top, we do a times c, or first times last, -6. And for the bottom, we take the middle term, -5. Remember, there are no x's allowed in the x. That sounds weird. So don't put x's here, just the coefficients. We're only working with the coefficients. Now think of all the ways to make 6 by multiplication. We've got 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Do either of these have a sum or difference of 5 or -5 or anything close to it? Actually, they both do. 1 and 6 minus 1, yeah. 1 minus 6, yeah, that's also that's a -5. 2 and 3 added together gives me a 5. So let's see how we can narrow this down. The only way to get 5 with a 2 and a 3 is to add them together, which will give me a +5. So this can't be it, okay? Now, how do I get a -5 from both of these? Is it 1 take away 6 or 6 take away 1? Which one gives me a -5? Well, it'll be 1 take away 6. Okay, so now let's verify if we did it right. 1 times -6, yep. And 1 take away 6, yep. Okay, so we have the correct combination here. Go back, put them in here. So I've got a -6 with an x, don't forget your x's, and a 1 with an x. Miss, what if I switched them? It doesn't matter where you put them. As long as you put them both with x's, the GCFs will work out just fine. Okay? Now pull out your GCFs. What do these terms have in common? Nothing but a 1. Box closest to me is positive. What do these terms have in common? They appear to have a 2 and an x in common. Box closest to me is positive. All right, how about for this column right here? 2 and 1 is 1. I can pull out 1 power of x from both of these. And then here, what's my GCF of this column? -6, -3. What number can I divide both of these by? A 3. And the box closest to me right now is negative, so let's make that a -3. Do they both have x's? No, so don't put an x up here with your GCF. So that's it. 2x plus 1 and x take away 3. Once again, if you need more than this, please go back and watch last week's video that I made. All right, now, how do we factor completely? Well, all we got to do is step 1 from up here. Factor out your GCF. And then the X box, okay? So this is really a combination skill. You've got to know how to factor out your GCF, and then you've got to know how to do the X box. And if you do, well, then this last section will be easy for you. And after I teach this, you'll be able to finish your IXL in no time flat. So I've prepared a notes page to help us through these because I only made you 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and I want you to be able to practice those. So I've made a notes page, okay? At this time, you can get a piece of paper and take notes with me, or you can just watch. And I'm gonna do as many examples as you need. If you get it after 1 example, stop the video and get to work, okay? If you need all 3, watch them and then rewind and keep going. Example 1. 5k to the third minus 5k squared minus 60k. What is the GCF? Is there a GCF? Yes, it appears that I can divide each term by what? By 5. Each term can be divided by 5. So let me put that here. And then, do I have k's in each term as well? When I say term, remember. Okay. This is what I mean. I have 1, 2, 3 terms. Now, yep, I got k's in each term. What's the lowest power of k's I have? K to the first. Well, that's what I'm going to pull out. You're only as strong as your weakest link, right? He's the weakest link. I'm pulling it out. Now, my GCF is 5k. Set up for the remainder. Okay, I've got a minus sign here. I'm going to put it. I've got a minus sign here. I'm going to put it. I can always change that if I need to later. All right, we're dividing each term by 5k. Each term by 5k, and I know I need 3 remainders, okay? So divide by 5k. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 3 take away 1, remember subtraction rule, is 2. So basically I've got a 1, which is invisible, with a k squared. Okay, next. 5 divided by 5, just 1, those are invisible. K squared minus k to the first power is just k. All right, and then 60 divided by 5 is 12, and the k's cancel here, no k's remaining. All right, so do you see what we have left? Well, this is a little messy. I'm gonna rewrite, okay? You don't have to rewrite, it's not necessary. I'm just saying it's messy the way I wrote it. 5k times k squared minus 1k minus 12. Good. So we found our GCF, we pulled it out. Now, I want you to set up for your final answer. Set up for your final answer. We know this is going to factor with the X box into 2 binomials. So we're going to get those ready now. Set up for your final answer and then get ready to ignore your GCF. Ignore, ignore, ignore. Pretend it's not even there, and let's get ready to do our X box. Simple as that, okay? First term in the first box, last term in the last box. Let's get over here to the X to find what combination of numbers created that -1. All right, think of all the ways, well, let's set up a box. 1 times -12 is -12. Middle term, down here. Okay, remember A times C up here. Middle term, down below. Okay, so think of all the ways to make 12 by multiplication. I got 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Which of these has a sum or difference of 1? Sum or difference of 1. If I add these, if I take them away, am I close to 1? No. Add these, take them away, close to 1? No. Add or take away close to 1? Absolutely. Now, which way is going to give me -1? Is it 3 take away 4 or 4 take away 3? 3 take away 4 gives me -1, and when I multiply these two numbers, I get -12. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna put these two numbers over here. Doesn't matter which order, but we'll make sure that they have K's on them. And now we do our GCFs as usual. Bottom row, -4, box closest to me is negative. Top row, first column, second column. We always double check our answers. K times K, K squared. K times 3, 3K. -4 times K, -4 times 3. Yep, it checks out. So I'm going to record my answer, K minus 4 and K plus 3. And remember, my GCF was down here waiting for me, so I didn't forget them and I didn't get the wrong answer. And that, my friends, is the process. If you get it, go back to that Excel and try to get your score for the week, okay? I believe I said it was a 90. Did I want you guys to get a 90 on that? I think so. Okay, if you still need more, here we go. Example 2. What is the GCF of these three terms? What is the GCF of these three terms? They don't all have X's, so I know there's not gonna be an X in my GCF. What's the highest number I can divide these by? Probably your first gut instinct is gonna say 2, but there's a larger one. Yep, let's divide them by 4. 4 is the highest GCF. Okay, so let's stick our 4 out here. I'm gonna separate out my terms. They're separated by minus signs right now, so I'm gonna put them so that I leave room for 1, 2, 3 terms, okay? So divide every term by 4 and stick it in there. So 8x squared divided by 4, 2x squared. -20x divided by 4, -5x. -12 divided by 4, -3. And there we go. So we found our GCF. We factored it out. We put our GCF down here and set up for our final answer. And then we ignore, ignore, ignore. X box, here we go. First term in the first box. Last term in the last box. How do we get the middle? Who knows? Okay, come on over here. A times C, first times last, gives you -6. -5 at the bottom. I feel like we just had this problem. Intriguing. We did. Aha. All right, I'm not gonna waste my time. Here we go. Okay, so we already figured out that it was a 1 and a -6 that made this work. Let's put it over here with X's, okay? Bottom row, no GCF or just 1, okay? Top row, 2x. First column, X. Second column, 3, and the box closest to me is -3. So we put our answer down here, 2x plus 1 and x minus 3 with our GCF already ready. So we're not gonna miss the problem because we forgot to put it. We set it up ahead of time. All right, I hope that was enough for you. I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys can finish that last IXL activity from last week along with this work, okay? All righty then.